Hey everybody, Tristan Torres here. Today's January 19th, Monday, January 19th, 2026. It's Martin Luther King Day. And you know, I uh I just wanted to come on and kind of talk about as many of us celebrate a man that we know very little about, how we have sanitized Martin Luther King's legacy, and especially among us white folks, and I include myself among them. I think a lot of us back in school, we learned about Martin Luther King and the fact that he was instrumental in the civil rights movement of the 1960s and how he was assassinated in 1968 and the I Have a Dream speech of 1963. But a lot of what the schools teach us stop there, and I'll admit this to you now, my knowledge has many gaps in it. I know now about how fiercely against the Vietnam War Martin Luther King was, and him meeting with Vietnamese monks, especially Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Vietnamese monk who died a few years ago, to discuss the peace angle. And probably many other political views that I'm not familiar with. And I'm not gonna lie, my knowledge is not as shored up as it probably should be. And I imagine for a lot of other white folks, we would say the same thing. And the fact that, basically we've turned Martin Luther King Day into a day off, like a day to either not go to work or not go to school. And we've, made Martin Luther King into this Santa Claus figure. And, people on the right wing of the political spectrum. They try to justify their shitty policies by saying how Martin Luther King would have approved of what they did. And, you know, sometimes we even quote, I have a dream at people who are having a bad day. It's become nonsensical. And, I uh I kind of liken it to this Santa Claus effect. We've turned this human figure into somebody who's mythical and as a result doesn't really require a significant amount of attention because of it. Um, and we can kind of use him as a stand-in to justify our own political views. When Martin Luther King had political views, he had very well-defined political views, and a lot of which I don't know. So, I can't really tell anyone what to do, but I know what I'm going to do over the next coming week or so. I'm going to get acquainted with the real Martin Luther King. I'm going to track down a biography. I'm going to read it because I want to know who this man was who's made such an impact on not only the lives of Black individuals, but the lives of those of us who are Hispanic. I am part Hispanic, paving the way for the disability rights movement and what he thought about the world around him. Because Martin Luther King wasn't an insular person. That much I do know. And I would just encourage anybody who happens to be listening to do a little bit of research. Who was Martin Luther King? What was his life like? Who was the human Martin Luther King, not the sanitized version that we grew up with? So that's what I'm going to be doing. Hope everybody had a good MLK Day. I know I did. So, yeah, at any rate, I will end this video for now, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next one.